Hey there, Squirrel Army! Today I want to do a deck tech on Atraxa Grand Unifier. You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing. Alright, so this is been on my mind for a little bit with this commander and trying to figure out how we could actually build around this commander. Now, you could go a somewhat flicker route. I think that if you go down a somewhat flicker route, the deck will be a lot weaker than what I think it sort of needs to be. But the thing is, it's sort of hard for me to figure out how you can actually win with this commander and whatnot because it is such a card draw style of an effect. There are a few ways that you can do it with Niv Mizzet as well, the 5-color Niv Mizzet. There's certainly probably some ways we can do it with this as well, and that's been my main sticking point with this commander, is that it is so much mana. It is 7 mana, so by that time we could be very easily looking to win the game. So we want to try to win the game as quickly as possible when we play our commander. Now, yes, it can be a bit easier for us because it's always accessible to us, and we can easily ramp into it more so, and we can focus in on getting it out there as part of our game plan. The consistency is where I think this deck will fall apart because you're only going to get random cards. Therefore, I feel like you've got to have a lot of tutors, but not just tutors. I think you will need tutors on all sorts of different permanents, so artifacts, instants, sorceries, whatnot, creatures, etc. All of this stuff, so that you can actually find some kind of way to win off of drawing one of those tutors, being able to at least hopefully next turn potentially play it, or sacrifice the commander in such a way to create mana or whatnot somehow, so that again you have more mana to play with and whatnot, so that you can move from there to actually doing what it is that you are going to do to win. That feels a little bit outside of the wheelhouse that I normally try to build in, but it's an interesting challenge nonetheless, so I want to give it a go and see what I can come up with. So yeah, I'm gonna do just that. I'm going to go away and put together a deck tech here for you guys and show it to you. Alrighty, guys. So after a bit of work, I've come back and had a look at the deck. Got to 100 cards, which is good. Pretty high budget there that we've come to, but there's a lot of powerful cards in here, and I did skimp on the lands a fair bit. I did put in some decent lands, but yes, I did put in quite a few basics, so it is a pretty basic list for the most part in terms of value, though there is some stuff there. You can sort of see the breakdown of where everything kind of is down here and whatnot as well, so you can kind of see why I did the things, some of the distributions of lands and whatnot, if you're curious and whatnot. But yes, if you guys want to check out the deck list, it will be down in the comments below as always. So if you guys don't really want to sit here and listen through the actual deck tech or the actual list of what's in and why and whatnot and all that sort of stuff, you can just go down there into the comments, check out the deck list, copy and paste, do whatever you want to do with it, and go from there. But for everyone else, I will go through the list so you guys can kind of get a picture of what's kind of going on. With that being said, I remember the initial video that I put out about this commander and saying you want to balance each type. Well, that's incredibly difficult because a lot of the best things that you can do are on creatures or on permanents for the most part. So finding things that allow you to do something, more or less with those things that are out there, and trying to balance everything out is very hard. So I was just thinking how you can actually win with this deck. And I did go for looking for a higher power version, so I did put in certain things and whatnot. And I'll go through those in just a sec, but that's where I was aiming at for the most part. So I'm not really going to talk about some of the spells here, especially like the instants and whatnot, because it's all just really good removal, though I think maybe I need some sort of disenchant effect here, but I do think Resculpt's pretty decent, though. It doesn't hit enchantments, so... But that's not that bad. Maybe Assassin's Trophy or something in here wouldn't be terrible. But I did sort of run out of room to put everything that I kind of wanted to put in here. So I'm not really going to talk about that sort of stuff. I'm not really going to talk about the sorceries either, because it's just a couple ramp spells and a couple of board wipes for the most part. Aminatou in the Planeswalkers here, she's one of the better flicker cards that we can kind of get. She has a few cards in here that work really well with her, so I thought that's all right because she's a permanent. Again, we want things that we can keep doing. I don't like Ghostly Flicker and those sorts of cards and whatnot because they're one-offs. Yes, there are some things that they allow you to do that these permanents don't allow you to do, but for the most part, permanents are going to be better because you're going to get that consistent value out of them, and if you have the synergies built in, then you can really go to town with some of those effects in certain colors. You don't have access to some of that, but you do have access to some of the other cards. So I would always go for some more of these more permanent options. But anyway, that's me. Kiora's just here to untap stuff and for card draw. So she does act as kind of ramp and card draw as well. So that's pretty useful. Very useful. Some very useful cards in here that I'm not really going to talk about. It's like the ramp cards and whatnot or whatever. Is just no point really talking about them. Except for things that are like a combo engine like Food Chain. We want to sacrifice some of our stuff or some of our other stuff when we have it on board so that we can get our commander back and whatnot. But we can also just sack our commander and activate some of the abilities of some of our creatures and whatnot, or enchantments or artifacts or whatever. So that's fine as well, so that we can do what we're doing and get those effects going again eventually. The Uprising, I don't care about the trample too much on this one, but it is the best effect for the card. So I thought it is fine, even saying that we don't care that much about the trample. The trample is an extra benefit that we definitely aren't, going to sneeze at, so we might as well just take it and get this effect. Guardian Project, we do, as I said, we do want to have some amount of these other permanents and whatnot here. We want to be able to hit some of these other more important artifacts and enchantments, so it is really useful, even before we get our commander, but when we get our commander, it's still useful to be able to draw it, even if we're not going to do much with it other than pitch it or something else. It's still okay. I went with a different kind of thought process with some of these cards like Reflections and some of the other cards that I'll get to in a minute, that we don't really care about legend ruling ourselves that much with our commander. Like some of the other cards we might care about, but I think we really care most about our commander and kind of legend ruling ourselves with our commander. We don't really care about that. We just want to get extra ETB triggers, and we'll do that in any way that we can do it. So getting an extra copy of our commander and being able to sacrifice it to Food Chain or whatnot, it is really useful. Smothering Tide, just, again, not going to talk about because it's just a great card. This is a bit of a weird one. If a spell targets a creature we control, we create a token that's a copy of that creature or artifact that's not a legend. A bit weird, but we can target our commander with certain abilities and whatnot. and spells as well, so we can make copies of our commander, or if our opponents, target our commander, we can just get extra copies of our commander. So that will be really good of value one way or the other. So I think that's real fine. Blade of Cells, again, like it's sort of slow, but it's really good with our commander because, again, we don't really care about legend ruling ourselves. We care about getting those cards into hand and getting that advantage that we're trying to get, finding a way to win. So that's what we're doing with this. We're not so much caring about, whatever we're doing, like hitting each opponent this way. We're caring about getting extra triggers off our commander. Same with Helm of the Host. We care about getting extra triggers off of our commander and copying it. Greaves and Boots are in here just to protect our commander. Mimic that. There's a few creatures in here that I'll get to again in a few moments, but that will die to Legend Rule. So being able to imprint them underneath this and be able to pay 3 per turn to copy of our commander or whatnot is really useful. Mirage Mirror, again, here to just copy of our commander and whatnot, so get extra triggers. Panharmonicon, get extra triggers off our commander, real useful. Wishclaw, I was thinking about maybe taking this out because I don't want to give it to our opponents, but for the most part, we needed a permanent or whatnot to utilize in a space, so I couldn't really find anything, so I was just like slipped it in there. So maybe this could go out pretty easily, but it's still pretty darn good card, I think. We just have to keep our opponents from getting hold of it or whatever, or having it for too long, or use it as a bargaining chip or something like that. So anyway, Unmoored Ego, again, just a lot of these cards, and I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, are here to clone our commander. So all the shapeshifters and whatnot that are here to copy our commander. Birds, just for ramp. Bloom Tender for more ramp. The Imposter, cloning. Shapeshifter, clone, copying. The Knight. I don't know how well this is going to go, but this is a side win condition for the most part. So whenever a creature enters our field, each opponent loses 1 life. So if we can infinitely flicker our commander or anything really, we just kill everyone. So that's a good win condition. Deadeye, just to flicker our commander or anything else that's useful that's on the field for us. So yeah. Displacer, same sort of thing. Elish Dawn to double our triggers. Emil to flicker things. Sentinels here to draw us cards when people don't pay for their stuff. Evil Twin, clone. Neoplasm, clone. Glasspool Mimic. Phyrexian Metamorph, clone. Catilda's here for ramp. Also can make counters on stuff. Knight of White Orchids here for ramp. Kadama is here to help us cheat things into play. When we play our commander, we can play a 7-drop from hand, but we can also resolve our commander's trigger first, so we can draw all those cards and play the best thing out of those cards that we get, so that's real good. Protector Mage, and it especially gets really, I will say, really crazy with all the clones that we play. Mage, clone something. Mimic, clone something. Plus, when it's in the graveyard, we can disturb it, so we can get it back from the graveyard, so useful. Mist Meadow Witch, just to flicker our commander or anything else useful. Hierarch for mana. Peregrine Drake, you can go infinite with Peregrine Drake or whatnot, but is very useful anyway, so pretty good. Phantasmal Image, more cloning, and Metamorph, more cloning. Rune to flicker something, usually our commander. Sakashima cloning, other Sakashima more cloning. The Student cloning, Spark double cloning, Stunt double cloning. Team of Sabertooth to bounce things, something to our hand. The Operative to clone things. The Vizier to clone things again. Plus it has Embalm, so we can get it back from the graveyard, so that's useful. The Wall, just to clone things again. And Yorick to double our ETB triggers. So those are all the things that I thought would be useful. Just a bit weird of a deck to actually try to figure out how it kind of would work and whatnot. But interesting nonetheless. I don't know whether this is the best version of this. Like I said, not everything here is like the best, but I still think that there's a lot here that's really, really good, and maybe I've missed the mark on some things, but hey, I tried. And I didn't have long to do this. I'm sorry. Plus, school is very busy right now, so again, I do apologize if it's not the best. But it's a decent base list to at least go off of, I think. But anyway, you guys can let me know what you guys think. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below, and I hope you've enjoyed, and hope you will join me in the next one.